the first 2 months of this year, America has conducted military actions in Iran and Venezuela, as well as threatened to annex Greenland.
It sounds like we're returning to a world of jungle rule.
The Trump administration's talk about potentially using force to take Greenland was extremely consequential. I do think that this was a real turning point for many countries in Europe.
All these events mark a seismic shift. The American-led world order is fading, and in its place, a resurgence of power politics.
Stephen Miller, one of Trump's closest advisors, says we're a superpower. We can do what we want.
In an age of global realignment, is this an opportunity for China? On January 20th, at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke of the seismic shift in geopolitics.
In finance and supply chains.
Today I will talk about a rupture in the world order, the end of a pleasant fiction and the beginning of a harsh reality, where geopolitics, where the large main power geopolitics is submitted to no limits, no constraints.
I think Prime Minister Carney essentially gave voice to what a lot of people were thinking about, feeling and sensing, nervous about already. With the United States not just stepping back as an anchor of the global economic and security order, but also in many ways trying to change that order, right, in terms of the trade relationships, in terms of some of the security relationships.
When analysts and politicians speak of the previous world order, they refer to the Western-led liberal order, sometimes called the rules-based order, that emerged after World War II.
The previous system was one of globalization and multilateralism, and there was something in that for everyone. Everybody benefited.
Out of that model came institutions like the United Nations, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and later the World Trade Organization.
That order or system of relations between countries globally, that was very much underpinned by US economic and military strength.
The rest of us pitch in when we can, but for the longest time, America was the one that provided the strongest support to that.
In recent years, America began to question its role in propping up this world order, a shift that has accelerated under President Trump.
America's feeling is that it's not getting as much out of that system as it did before. So it wants to withdraw, or it wants to ask others to put in more of their weight, which is a legitimate ask.
In the face of American retreat, eyes turn to its chief rival, China.
新威胁、新挑战有增无减，世界进入新的动荡变革期，全球治理走到新的十字路口。
Post-Cold War, China was one of the biggest beneficiaries of the old world order.
For a lot of the last 8 decades, China was not a great power. China was not prosperous.
This is China's GDP before WTO accession in 2001. This is its GDP after.
If you look at the trajectory after China's joining WTO in 2001, China has reaped remarkable economic growth because of the inflow of foreign direct investment, because of the increased Chinese export to the other countries. So to put it simply, without this kind of order, it would have been impossible for China to become the second largest economy as it is today.
Lever Style is a Hong Kong-listed company headquartered in Shenzhen, China. The garment manufacturing supply platform works with 150 partner factories across Asia, serving clients in fashion, outdoor and active wear sectors.
We serve 175 brands, mainly in Europe and America, and also dotted around Australia and other regions. We are a constant advocate of this whole high-speed, high-mix, low-volume supply chain, even to traditional brands.
So, when President Trump announced tariffs on most of America's trading partners last year, it dealt a significant blow to the free trade framework overseen by the WTO.
We have gone from very low trade barriers to one that is increasingly more protectionist, more mercantilist, led by the United States and their change of heart as far as global trade is concerned.
Suddenly, tariff in certain countries becomes 100%, 120%. What does that mean? It means they want to delay their orders to later until they are clearer in what the consumers want.
Leverstal is looking to diversify its partner factories to hedge against tariffs and expand into new markets.
For example, Turkey to supply into Europe. We're thinking of Portugal to supply more high-end, more luxury, sort of low luxury product to Europe and America. You're thinking of North Africa to do lower cost product. And we even dare to start imagining having production base in South America that can serve North America effectively.
But Chinese investors have to also take the geopolitical shifts into account.
The rules-based order is important for China's overseas investment because if the current order disappears, and then it will be the US, it will be Washington to decide, countries whether or not you should cooperate with China. So that will make the game very much different from what it has been in the last several years.
For China, the changing world order also has a security dimension. The US military actions in Venezuela and Iran have implications for Chinese investments in these regions. By some estimates, Iran and Venezuela together make up 17 to 18% of China's oil imports.
Don't exclude the possibility that if the United States really misbehaves and continues to bully other countries, then they may force China to send military convoys to Latin America to protect the legitimate business interests of China.
While the erosion of the global order brings risks for China, it also creates opportunity.
As the US quits, other countries, the US allies included, realize that they have to work with China in dealing with the common challenges. They have no choice.
This year, Beijing has already welcomed Canadian, British, and German leaders.
Carney's visit to Beijing is very important. First and foremost, it provides an opportunity to reset China-Canadian relations, and especially in the economic front. And the second reason is that also suggests that in the future, Canada will decide to pursue its relations with China based on its own national interests, not under the instruction from Washington.
I think that it's a stretch to think that countries actually trust China. Canada would be another example where there has been re-engagement, particularly a desire to expand relations economically. But in the security sphere, I think that all U.S. allies continue to want to de-risk their supply chains that are connected to national security from China.
As multilateral institutions face growing strain, greater emphasis may fall on smaller groupings like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and BRICS. This could play to China's hand.
China, as a key member of such multilateral organizations, we will face great opportunities because China will play a more important role in agenda setting for these organizations, as it has been doing in the past.
People talk about how, as the US retreats, China is going to come in and fill the gap. That in many ways simplifies what are very complex historical processes. Do the Chinese want to do that? What gaps do they want to fill? Do they have any idea how they're going to fill it? They have studied world history very carefully. They know about the burdens of great powerdom, so to speak. The Chinese, for example, have been very clear in their public diplomacy that they are not interested in interventions.
And at the same time, China will also look to manage its own relations with the US. As the clock ticks on a one-year trade truce, Presidents Trump and Xi are set to meet in Beijing in April.
The current state of China-US relations can be featured with both stability and fragility. For the US, my understanding is they want China to buy more US products. And for China, on the security front, the priority concern will be Taiwan issue.
When China weaponized its dominance in supply chains and tried to roll out this export licensing plan against the rest of the world, not just the United States, the lesson that the Trump administration drew was that they have to be careful to not trigger China to do that again. And let's remember that the trigger the first time was imposing tariffs that were over 145% on China.
As global power centers shift, where does that leave traditional American allies in Asia, Japan, and South Korea?